out. You might also need some tissues or something because my nose always drips when I take it out, so it's just best to have them nearby and then have your garbage can nearby. So here we go. So first I'm just going to peel off the tape, which should be pretty easy because it's been a couple days, you know. It needed changed anyway. So I'm just going to carefully peel off the tape. So now the tube is untaped. So now, here's the fun part, is pulling it out. So I'm going to stand back a little bit. I always get nervous before I take it out, but it's not that big of a deal. Okay. Okay. It was easy. It didn't really hurt. I mean, it kind of hurts your throat a little bit because it is bumping up against it, but it's not that big of a deal. I did get some stomach juice a little bit everywhere, but yeah, so I would recommend doing it in your bathroom or something like that. But yeah, that was pretty easy. It kind of tastes like puke. It's kind of gross. It's like your nose, like you smell it, but it's not that big of a deal. But it's not that big of a deal. You just blow your nose and it's gone, basically. So that is how I take out my feeding tube. Now I'm going to show you guys how I put in my feeding tube. Putting in your feeding tube is obviously a little bit more tricky than taking it out, but the more you do it, the easier that it gets, and the less likely you'll gag or anything like that, and it gets pretty easy once you get used to it. So the things that you will need are a feeding tube. This is just what mine looks like. You will need some medical grade lubrication. You will need a big old syringe like this. A stethoscope. And some tape to tape it afterwards. I use Tegaderms, and I also use gauze, but you can use whatever kind of tape you want. Then, just in case, I have a little barf bucket basin. I always get these when I go to the hospital after I get like my scopes. They always give them to me, and I never use them, so I just keep them like for things like this. But I've never had to use one. And then I always have a big glass of water, and I like to buy these cute little cups because they just make me happy, like when I don't know, drink out of them to put it in the tube. And then you will need to mark the tube. So for that I use a Sharpie, but for a non-permanent like marker, I like to use these little like stickers. Where are they? They're called Feeding Friends, and they have a bunch of different little animal faces, and I like to stick these right where the mark is, and then it's just like my little reward for like putting in the tube. I don't know, that's just what I do. That's just what I do. But you can do whatever you want. So first off, I'm going to measure my tube, and so how I do this is I first open my tube and make sure that your hands are washed too. I washed my hands, don't worry. I'm just going to open it and take it out and close the little cap on the end. Okay, so this is what a tube looks like if you've never seen one. There's like the end, like that, and then it's long. So how I measure it is I take the tip and I put it on the back of my ear, like on the farthest point of my ear, and then I bring it up to my nose, and then I take it from my nose to my xiphoid process, which is that little U-shaped bone in your chest, or below your chest, so right there, and then I take it down to my belly button, and then I go in the middle of that, so right about there. And I'm just going to take my Sharpie and mark it off. Mark just a little line. Like that. Okay. And then I'm also going to put my little sticker right there. But this part is optional. There. Like that. So, oh, I forgot something. For the lubricant, I like to get like a little paper plate to put it on, but you obviously don't have to, but that's just what I like to do. So I'm going to take some lubricant and I'm just going to squeeze it out onto the plate. And I like to get a lot because I feel like the more that you have, the easier it goes down. I don't know if that's true or not, but it works for me. So I have my lubricant and I'm just going to dip my tube in it. So it's all nice and goopy, like that. And so now here's the fun part. So you can decide what nostril you want to put it in. I always have better luck with this side than this side. So when you're inserting your tube, you want to keep your head down because that prevents it from going into your airway, which I've had that happen before and that is not fun. So keep your head tilted down and that just prevents it, like I said, from getting in your airway. And then you want to, once you there's like a tricky part in your nose, I guess you could call it, like in your nose there gets to a point for me where I just can't put in the tube anymore and it like won't go through. And so what helps me is just kind of twist it around a little bit and then like just kind of maneuver and see if I can move it a different way, or sometimes I just have to take it out and wait a minute and put it back in. Yeah, so right here I have my glass of water with my straw. It's better to have a straw than just to drink out of a glass. So I have my straw here and I have my tube, and let's get started. I'm going to be really close to this. Okay, you guys are getting a close-up of this. Okay, here we go. And you might want to blow your nose before you do this and have tissues nearby because my nose drips like crazy when I put this thing in. And then I like to drink just a little bit of water just to wetten it. But not a lot because you don't want to like throw it up or something. You sneeze a lot too, but that's okay, you know. And then my eyes always water, but I'm not crying. So if you're wondering if I'm crying, I'm not. My eyes just water. So right now, it's still in my nose. I just hit the sneezing spot, but so far things are going really well actually, which is kind of surprising because it's usually more difficult than this. So you guys are lucky. And so I know I'm getting close to having to start swallowing, so I'm getting positioned and putting the straw in my mouth just so when I get there, and you know when you're there, like you can feel it. And here's just the last
little bit. And now it's stuck. Ta-da! Yay! And then my ducky is upside down. But as you can tell, there. As you can tell, the black line right there is in my nose, which is good. And so now I'm just going to temporarily use my duck to tape. Yay! So now I'm just hold on. So now I'm just going to check for placements. Put your stethoscope in your ears. And get your syringe, and I just fill it up with about 10 cc's of air. Not a lot. You don't need a lot. So I'm just going to open up the cap on my feeding tube and just stick the syringe in there like that. And then take your stethoscope and put it on your stomach, like right here. You should hear like a gurgling noise, which I did, so it's in my stomach. So yeah. Good luck with putting in your feeding tubes, and I hope this helped, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!
When it's burning low, only miss the sun when it starts to snow.